All right, good morning. It is Melissa here, and I want to share on my channel here some more stuff about family life and marriage. Last night I was talking to the Uber driver about, how I got here and what happened to my husband. And every single time I tell somebody about how my husband left, they're like, "What? What do you mean? That makes no sense." And no one can make sense of it. Everyone's like, "What? What do you mean? 33 years?" So I was talking about forgiveness last night. This is so weird because I was listening to a sermon this morning about forgiveness too. So I said, "Oh, I've just chosen to forgive him." And, when we look in the Bible, David is somebody who prays, God, destroy my enemies, you protect me, you be my shield, you be my strength. And so there is a time for that, right? There is a time for it. And he had said, well, your feelings are valid, you have a right to your feelings, right? Because I had told him what he did was absolutely horrific. It was awful what he did, but how do we forgive people so easily? Because now I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not now. And how do we do that? And listening to this sermon was really good because it talked about the more we're connected to Christ, the more we forgive. And it's true. I mean, like Valentine's Day is coming up, and my husband tried to be rotten to me on Valentine's Day, and he filed on Valentine's Day, and then he signed papers for divorce right like at Christmas time, right? Those are two really important days. So, when someone's hurting that bad, they're usually trying to hurt you. And how do you forgive someone so quickly? And it's because you know that there's a future, that you know that you love somebody more than you actually have anger toward them, right? So, my husband, as a Christian, we'll be in heaven together either way. But I never told people, I don't think, the story of Agatha. So I want to share that. So this is my bad. This is kind of my bad. It is my bad. It is. So the story of Agatha. So one day, my husband and I had lived in a bunch of apartments. So we had lived on Route 28. We had lived on, let me see, my aunt got us North State Street. So we were there. And then, wait, before that, we were on Monroe. That was our own place. And then he broke up with me. And so then we were on North State Street. And then we went to Princeton Street in Concord. And this was a weird house because she lived downstairs and she rented the upstairs. So we were upstairs. And Agatha was from Albania. That's where she was from. And so she was this little old lady. Her husband had died and she cooked all the time. And we used to be able to smell her food and it smelled so good, like homemade bread and everything. And all her cooking would go upstairs and we could smell it. And she was nice to us. She was good to us. And so one day, I think my husband was yelling at me or something. I don't know. He wasn't being nice to me. So I had left. I just left and I broke it off. I'm like, we are done. It's over. I'm leaving. And I literally left. Well, when we worked it out and I came back because my husband chased me, he left a note on my car when I was in hairdressing school. He's like, I'm sorry. I've been a jerk, basically. I'm sorry. Um, I screwed up kind of thing. So when I got back, I got so much rebuke from this lady. She was like, you don't leave your husband. What? You left your husband? You don't leave your husband. That's wrong. How dare you? She's telling me to leave my husband. And she gave it to me. And she just went on and on. She would not stop with me. And she's just like, you don't ever leave your husband. You don't do those things. And so I got my butt kicked from an old lady. for a little while from her. So, as I talk to other women about sticking things out in marriage, because I've been on this, like, my comment section has been on this lady who left her husband, and I'm like probably one of the few people who said what you did was wrong. So, when I've been doing this, I've been thinking of Agatha. So, in her culture, you did not do this. You just didn't. So, that was a good lesson for me, and I had learned it well, and I never, did that again. I never left my husband. He wanted to work it out, and I said, "Okay, then we'll work it out." And I gave him another chance, and we had our 5 beautiful sons, and I'm so glad that I gave him another chance, because if I didn't, we wouldn't have had our 5 sons. And that is part of forgiveness, is giving people another chance, because you don't know the good that comes out of giving someone another chance. So, but that accountability, as I talk about how accountability is important in community, that old lady taught me a lesson that day, and it really stuck. And so, I wouldn't have, I don't know how, I got saved after that. My whole life changed for the better. And I look, even though it wasn't pleasant at the time, hearing an old lady blast me, I do appreciate what she did now. And sometimes we do have to be hard on people because we want what's good for them, right? So, she was my friend again, but she always, every now and then, would tell me, "You don't leave your husband. You don't do that." So she always would remind me. So you also give people grace too, right? When they're like, "Okay, okay, I heard you. Okay." You give people grace and you encourage them again. So she kind of wouldn't put it down for a while. But anyways, I do appreciate that time in my life that I had somebody like that in my life who helped me. So, be thankful for people who teach you too, on the right path. And when I think about the sermon about forgiving, it used to be hard for me to do that. I used to be someone who didn't forgive so easily. And it's important to forgive, because God forgives us every single day and He is very good to us. And forgiveness is super important. It's like it it's really important, or you do get frozen in time and you stick to the bitterness and the anger and the mistakes, instead of being like, "Oh, you know what? I still love this person, and no matter what they do, I will always love them." And that is, it takes some time to get there, but that is what you want to do. And so I told this guy, he's like, "You have the right to how you feel." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I forgive him, and I got to share my faith a little bit." So, that's probably the benefit of me telling people too, is just sharing my faith and saying, "I forgive, because look at everything God forgave me for." So that's how we should be living, guys, is live in forgiveness. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.